up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin Jackwitz here with the Kaged review, and this is the rock review section of the Kaged review. And this is going to be the second part in this new thing that I'm trying out, where I'm listing all my favorite albums from particular bands. I started with Judas Priest. They've been going for 5 decades. They've got a bunch of albums. And I decided to shift into a much newer band, which is Disturbed. And the funny thing is that it took longer for me to figure out which albums I wanted to place where in terms of my least favorite to most favorite, even though they've only got like 7 or 8 albums, where you compare, the 30, 40 something that Judas Priest has. So it really goes to show how good this band is, because every fucking album was great. Every song is something that I've liked. And it really came down to what songs did I like more, what songs did I just not be able to get out of my head for weeks and months at a time, which album did I just play relentlessly when I got it. And that really was the determining factor in how I rated these albums. And for Disturbed, like I said, it's really hard because they have so many damn good songs. But I'm going to jump right into this, and I'm going to start with my least favorite, which was The Lost Children. And The Lost Children was my least favorite mainly because it was a lot of collection of B-sides and songs from other media, soundtracks from movies they've done, things like that. Which still had a lot of really good songs on it, but it wasn't their typical type of album, and I think that for that it made it a little bit weaker than the rest. But you had songs like Hell, which was really, really good, A Welcome Burden. Leave It Alone was one of my favorite tracks from the whole album. But there were kind of a couple oddballs for me. Two Worlds was interesting. I don't know if it was necessarily the type of Disturbed that I'm used to. Dehumanized, Free. Just a little bit different for me. But still, overall, a very good CD. If you like Disturbed and you haven't heard any of their stuff like that before, it's very cool to see. It really is. From there, you have Believe. And this was a really difficult one for me because Believe has a couple of my favorite Disturbed tracks of all time. One being Prayer. I loved Prayer when that song came out. I jammed it all the time. The other is a song that I still jam out all the time to this day. So that talks about the longevity of this song, and that is Liberate. Liberate was a fucking in-your-face, just aggressive song, and I love that type of music. And they really nailed it with this one. So it was really hard for me to put this so far down, but when you look at other tracks, they were good. They just weren't as good as a lot of the albums coming up that I'm about to mention. And it's a tough decision for me because, songs like Intoxication was cool, Rise, Devour. I mean, these are all good songs. But, when you're dealing with a band as good as Disturbed, you gotta figure out a way to pick out which album is better than the last. And for me, it literally came down to the quality of the tracks that I'm going to mention in some of these albums coming up. After Believe is the Disturbed self-titled album. This was their first album, and man, this was a motherfucking riot. This album, when it came out, it kind of changed music for me. You had Down With the Sickness, which is a song that has been played in movies, media, in sports arenas. The heavy percussive intro to this song just really sets a tone that doesn't really stop throughout the entire album, to be very honest. Stupefy, another really, really good track that just owned the radio for a long time. And then you have songs like Shout, which was a cover of a Tears for Fears song. And if you ever listen to the original Tears for Fears song, Shout, it's nothing like this. There's no metal to it. It's a 80s pop song. And Disturbed took it, made it their own, and made it quite the metal jam. So, as you can see, I have a lot of love for this album. But again, when you're talking Disturbed and how they have progressed as a band, this was their first album. And there were slight lulls in it. But when they got into their groove and they started making their next few albums, man, they absolutely fucking killed every track on the album. So because of that, Disturbed's self-titled debut is actually down to number 3 on this list because, well, it had to be for me. There's just too many damn good songs coming up. And the 4th album, which is literally the halfway point in the albums that they've made, is Immortalized. And Immortalized, man, you're getting into the albums where they just nailed it. And there weren't very many weak spots on this. And you give me one sec, I'm actually going to look something up because I wanted to see what year this came out. And thankfully, I have my laptop right in front of me. So this came out August 2015. So not that long ago. And this has a lot of songs that are consistently played on the radio 3 years later. The Vengeful One, which was their first single from the album. It was one of those things where, like, I heard it, and at first I was like, man, I don't know if this is like the Disturbed that I'm used to. I don't know how I feel about this song. And then a day later, I can't stop playing it. It really took over with me. This also has The Light, which I thought was a really, really good, kind of softer Disturbed song, but still really, really good. And then you get a Simon and Garfunkel cover of The Sound of Silence. And this song really, Disturbed is heavy. They are a pretty damn solid metal band, and they don't really make pop rock. They make intricate metal songs. And so I don't know that they've ever really been a household name. There's a lot of people that are familiar with Down with the Sickness. But when they came out with The Sound of Silence, these guys are on late night talk shows, they're playing their music just about everywhere. You hear it all over the radio, even on not rock radio. And The Sound of Silence, you still hear on the radio all the time. And like I said, you're talking 3 years later. So that really says something about the longevity of this band and their music. So this album was very good. Very good. My issue with it was that I think there were a couple of actual lulls in this one. And, when you're picking out your favorite albums, you are going to wind up with every track on the album being an absolute great song for you. So if you have one album where even one or two songs are kind of, I can, take or leave, then it's already going down the list. The next album, though, is 10,000 Fists. Holy shit, this was a good one. This album, it was really hard for me to not put this at number 1 or 2, because it has so many fucking good tracks on it. It really does. 10,000 Fists, the song, is this sonically driven, super fast drum song that is just smash mouth as you can get. They did a cover of Genesis' Land of Confusion, and they actually made this one a single, and I think deservedly so, because The song itself was good when Genesis did it, and it was so much better when Disturbed did it. And the cool thing about it is they still kept relevant, and when they made the video, they made a lot of political statements, but they were current political statements, because honestly, if you've ever seen the video for Genesis, they did the same thing with the cartoon around the radio and things like that. But yeah, songs like Just Stop, Guarded, Defy was great. That was starts out with a clip of George Bush giving one of his speeches, and it, you know, loved it, absolutely loved it. So this album was honestly phenomenal, almost beginning to end. It really was. So many songs that I could play for hours. And the only reason it's not as high on the list is because, well, you've got other albums that are just amazing in their own right and have a much better track listing. And that's really the only reason it's not higher on the list. The only reason. So after that you have Asylum. Asylum was, for me, a landmark album. These guys just, they just keep getting better and better and better. And the song Asylum itself, amazing. Another Way to Die is the first song I heard from this album. And this was the song of all songs that when I first heard it, I was like, oh my god, I don't know how I feel about this. It was so unique, it was so different, the beginning was so slowed down, and I was just like, oh, this is not my Disturbed. And I swear to God, the next day I was playing that song every fucking half hour. It was so goddamn good. And it was really, really hard not to put this album at number one because of that alone. Because you have songs like The Warrior, which I really like. You have Serpentine. Innocence, the end track, I thought was really fucking good. I mean, this album, beginning to end, was just in your face, smash mouth. And I really love just about everything they did in here. The Animal was another really good one that they had in there. And actually the video for that was pretty cool if you ever seen it. They had this whole like werewolf theme going on. The only thing about this album that was a little bit off for me was I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and if you've ever seen the last track, it's like the hidden track, it's actually called ISHF, WILF, and they don't even call it, I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and I think they did that intentionally so people wouldn't automatically know it was the cover of the YouTube song. So, when you finally get to that last track, you're like, oh, I know this song. But the only thing that I have is it was a little clunky with the percussion and the way it kind of, I don't know. It was just something about that one. But thankfully it was like just a hidden track and it was just, you know, something that you didn't get. The rest of the album, beginning to end, was amazing. But it was not as good as Indestructible, which to me is the number one album from Disturbed. Everything on this album made me want to hit something every time I listened to every song on this motherfucker. It was insane, beginning to end. Every song, it just gets your adrenaline pumping. So many amazing songs on one album. Indestructible, the title track, sets a great tone. But then you have, right after that, I think it was actually the first single was Inside the Fire. And it was this very deeply personal song from David Freeman about a friend of his who committed suicide. So, I mean, the song itself was emotionally charged, sonically driven. The video was really emotional, you know. It starts right out with him walking in on his, you know, friend hanging from a rope. And I like songs that delve into real life, that delve into situations and politics and things that make you think. It's one reason why I do the rock reviews. I have so much love for rock music is because pop is so goddamn superficial, and they say nothing. And so I really have an appreciation for David Draymond and his lyrics. I really do. But like the track listing on this, like I said, beginning to end, you've got Perfect Insanity, which was really, really good. Haunted is a song that I play today still a lot. And then you follow up Haunted, which was this amazing double bass song, with Enough, which has one of the best breakdowns in any Disturbed song I've ever heard. There's not a song on this album that I did not like, and it was really hard for me to figure out what album I really liked as number one, because like I said, Disturbed just has so many good songs, and they have so many albums that are consistently good all the way through. But I had to pick this one as my favorite just because of how many songs on this album. Like, I can play this whole album, beginning to end, not lose a step in like my motivation, and it keeps the adrenaline pumping. It keeps you thinking with the lyrics. And there's really no lull to it. There's no part of this album where you're like, maybe they could have done without that. No, every fucking song is great. So, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. My number one album for Disturbed, Indestructible. One of my favorite bands. They have just put out so many damn good songs, and I can't say enough about them. I'm really glad that they got the band back together after their hiatus and started making new music, because the world is just not the same place without new Disturbed music coming through. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about my album listing from least favorite to most favorite. Do you think you would line this up about the same way, or do you have other songs or albums that you think need to be higher up? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jack with Kaged Nation out.